Tomorrow's the total eclipse, baby!
Hold and praise your nearest superstar. I shine bright and shed light from afar. 93 million miles to be explicit. 8 light minutes if you're planning a visit. See, I'm the big daddy in this here system. My turn to burn, so keep on listening. I give light when all around is dark. Your choice gets sparked or heart or remark. Come one, come all. Hear this story, try to understand the greatest power known to man. Am I a nuclear bomb, you ask? I'm better, I'll make that look like a firecracker. Alpha and Omega, beginning and end. How can you claim I ain't God, my friend? My atomic magnitude is explosive. I can keep a planet in motion or roast it.
And in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months, being compacted in blood of the seed of man.
That's right.
Of the seed of man.
The word seed is sperm, and sperm comes through having sex.
It's shut out of your father's rod.
Right.
Put it in layman terms, in his penis.
That's right.
That means a man put his penis in a woman and bust off in it.
Then the angel said to him, "Take out the entrails of this fish, and lay up his heart and his gall and his liver for thee. For these are necessary for useful medicines."
The rest of the chapters of the book of Esther,
Go ahead.
which are found neither in the Hebrew nor in the Chaldee.
Greetings, fellow worker slaves, podcasting at 128 kilobits from the Fortress of Squalitude. This is the Atheist in the Trailer Park Podcast. I'm your host, Tucker. Professor Fuzznuts is in my chair, and Buttons is curled up asleep on the couch. Yes, it's a podcast hosted by a guy and he's cats. Get over it. This is a Biblical Apocrypha episode, and it's just going to be me, I'm afraid, as I wasn't able to get anyone for this episode. Normally, Heretic Woman and Chris from the Podunk Polymath podcast would be happy to jump in, but Heretic Woman's cat, Bob, died the other day, so I wasn't about to ask her, and Chris is out of town on vacation. I do have a tentative guest lined up for the next Apocrypha episode, so hopefully this is the only time you'll have to put up with me doing it solo. And while this is an Apocrypha episode, I am going to briefly mention the tragedy in Charlotte. I'm working on a special episode about it because there are a number of issues connected with it that I don't hear anyone talking about. I'll also have another special episode where I talk with a historian about Confederate statues. I'm not sure exactly when either of those will go out, since I'm off tomorrow, I have to work overtime for the rest of the week to make up for it. Which means I'll be getting up at 3 o'clock in the goddamned morning, and all I'll want to do when I get home is go to bed. Suffice it to say that I'm saddened by the death of Heather Heyer, and I'm glad to see that the public response to her death has largely been the correct one. It's just a shame that it took the death of a person to get the issue back on the table. On a happier note, the table saw I ordered, thanks to Gretchen's generous donation, arrived on Wednesday, and man, am I glad I decided to go that route instead of a jerry-rig solution. It was a pain in the ass to set up the saw because nobody knows how to write an instruction manual anymore. Still, once I got it set up, it went through the boards like a laser. It took me a couple of tries to get the cuts the way I wanted them, but once I did, I cut through them in no time. I didn't get all the lumber cut up, as some of it I have to pull the nails out of. I just focused on getting the big boards with the hole in the middle cut down, because they're filling up my storage shed, so I had to get them cut down so I'd have more room in the shed for the other boards. I figured out that it will take me about 48 of the boards to redo the deck roof. That's roughly what we throw out in a week, so it won't take me long at all to get enough, plus some extras to redo the roof. Once I get them done, I'll get the rest of the stuff I need to finish the roof, and then see if I can't sucker some folks into helping me with the project. I think that's just about enough of my nonsense, though I will say that I'm going to try to live stream on Facebook the eclipse tomorrow, or today, as you're listening to this. The time it starts here is about 11:30 12:30 Central Daylight Time. It's actually a little later than that. The totality happens an hour or so after that, and then the moon passes away from the sun about an hour after that. The totality only lasts about lasts just over 2 minutes. Okay, and I just checked the Eclipse Safari app that Space.com put out for the specifics. These are all Central Daylight Time figures. Start of the partial eclipse is at 11:59 a.m. Start of the total eclipse is at 1:27 p.m. Maximum eclipse is at 1:28 p.m. The end of the total eclipse is at 1:30 p.m. The end of the partial eclipse is at 2:54 p.m. So I will be trying to stream all of that. I have protective lenses for my eyeballs, for my phones, and I've got little telescopes to clamp onto the phones that will hopefully make nice, pretty pictures. We shall see. I want to get, if I can, do video of the eclipse as it's happening, do video of the trailer park so you can see, how the light changes over the trailer park, and I'll take some still photos of the eclipse as well. We'll just see how it goes. I have no idea if any or all of this stuff is going to work. I'm going to have to get up on the roof to do it to get the best shots, so we're just going to play it by ear and see what happens. All right, enough of my babbling. Let's get on to the babbling of the God Boys. When we last left our hero Baruch, he was whining to God about the temple being destroyed and the Jews being sent into exile. And I answered and said, "For whom and for how many shall these things be? Or who will be worthy to live at that time? For I will speak before you everything that I think, and I will ask of you regarding those things which I meditate. For lo, I see many of your people who have withdrawn from your covenant, and cast from them the yoke." Gee, isn't yoke something you use to signify you're being oppressed? "Of your law. But others again I have seen who have forsaken their vanity, and fled for refuge beneath your wings. What therefore will be to them? Or how will the last time receive them? Or perhaps the time of these things will assuredly be weighted. And as the beam inclines, will they be judged accordingly?" And he answered and said unto me, "These things also will I show unto you. As for what you did say, to whom will these things be, and how many will they be? To those who have believed there shall be the good, which was spoken of aforetime, and to those who despise there shall be the contrary of these things." What? "And as for what you did say regarding those who have drawn near and those who have withdrawn, this in the word." That's the end of the sentence. That sentence makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. "As for those who were before the subject and afterwards withdrew and mingled themselves with the seed of mingled peoples, the time of these was the former, and was accounted as something exalted." Accounted for by whom? "And as for those who before knew not, but afterwards knew life, and mingled only with the seed of the people which had separated itself, the time of these is the latter, and is accounted as something exalted." Exalted by whom? And time shall succeed to time, and season to season, and one shall receive from another, and then with a view to the consummation shall everything be compared according to the measure of the times and the hours of the seasons. For corruption shall take those that belong to it, and life those that belong to it. And the dust shall be called, and there shall be said to it, "Give back that which is not yours, and raise up all that you have kept until it is time." What rambling, incoherent nonsense. It reminds me, like on Phil Donahue or some talk show like that when I was a kid, they had a channeler, I think it was Jay-Z Knight, who does Ramtha. And they said, "Can we meet Ramtha?" And Ramtha, she sits cross-legged and does her little, rolls her eyes, and then she starts talking, and she's saying, "Oh, I am here to speak to you people, you are good people, because you are people and people are good." And it's just repetitious nonsense. that meant nothing. But do thou, Baruch, direct your heart to that which has been said to you, and understand those things which have been shown to you. For there are many eternal consolations for you, and for you shall depart from this place, and you shall pass from the regions which are now seen by you. And you shall forget whatever is corruptible, and shall not again recall those things which happen among mortals. Go, therefore, and command your people, and come to this place, and afterwards fast 7 days, and then I will come to you and speak to you. So God can't talk to him if he's got a full belly. Wonder why? And I, Baruch, went from thence, and came to my people, and I called my firstborn son, and the Gedaliahs. Now, who the fuck are the Gedaliahs? According to the Googles, Gedaliah was appointed by Nebuchadnezzar II of Babylon as governor of Yehud province, which was formed after the defeat of the kingdom of Judah and the destruction of Jerusalem, and a part of the territory that previously formed the kingdom. He was supported by a Chaldean guard stationed at Mizpah. On hearing of the appointment, the Jews that had taken refuge in the surrounding counties returned to Judah. Gedaliah was the son of Achim, who saved the life of the prophet Jeremiah, and the grandson of Shaphan, who is mentioned in relation to the discovery of the scroll of teaching that some scholars identify as the core of the book of Deuteronomy, a matter of some controversy among scholars. Now, if this is what I'm thinking of, this is the scroll that is talked about in Bible myths and their parallels in other religions. And I believe the episode title for that one, which covers it, is Who Wrote the Old Testament? And I believe it's a two-parter. I'll check and put that in the show notes if I remember. Anyways, there's a scribe who finds a 500-year-old scroll that is written by Moses. It has all the stories in it. And he comes running into the throne room of the palace with the scroll, flings it open while saying, "I have found the writings of Moses," and proceeds to read from it. As Doan points out, the language would have shifted so much in those 500 years that it would be impossible for him to read it if it was really a 500-year-old scroll. Additionally, when you're dealing with a language like Hebrew was at the time, with no vowels and no spaces between the words, you just couldn't read it off the cuff like that. You had to sit there. They have commentary in the text, beside the text, telling you how to read this shit and interpret it in some cases. So, anyways, it goes on to talk about some of the things he did, and then it says Ishmael and the 10 men who were with him murdered Gedaliah, together with most of the Jews who had joined him, and many Babylonians whom Nebuchadnezzar had left with Gedaliah. The remaining Judeans feared the vengeance of Nebuchadnezzar and fled to Egypt. Although the dates are not clear from the Bible, this probably happened around 582 BCE. Citation needed. Some 4 to 5 years and 3 months after the destruction of Jerusalem and the first temple in 586 BCE. So, that gives you a date for when this was supposedly written, because this, apparently, the guy was talking to Gedaliah, or somebody related to Gedaliah. And below this, the next section in Wikipedia says, Fast of Gedaliah, to lament the assassination of Gedaliah, which left Judah devoid of any Jews in Jewish rule, and completed the destruction of the first temple. The Jewish sages established the third day of Tishrei, which is a month that falls like in September and October on the Gregorian calendar, as the fast of Gedaliah. Although Gedaliah's assassination apparently occurred on the first day of Tishrei, the fast is observed on the third day so as not to coincide with Rosh Hashanah. So that's how whoever wrote this book is trying to tie it in and add authenticity to it. Remember, this book is not considered valid by most sects of Christianity. So it's bullshit. But now let's go back to the text and I'll restart that sentence. And I, Baruch, went from thence and came to my people, and I called my firstborn son and the Gedaliahs, my friends, and 7 of the elders of the people, and I said unto them, Behold, I go unto my fathers according to the way of all the earth. So apparently he's planning on dying. But withdraw you not from the way of the law, but guard and admonish the people which remain, lest they withdraw from the commandments of the Mighty One. Is that Mighty Mouse? For you see that he whom we serve is just. Yeah, okay, so he kind of let everybody get raped and murdered and destroyed, the most valuable building in our city, but, we had it coming. If we behaved better, if we didn't mistreat him, he wouldn't get drunk and get angry like that. For you see, and our Creator is no respecter of persons. Okay, how can you be just and not respect people? I don't know. And see what you hath befallen Zion, and what hath happened to Jerusalem. For the judgment of the Mighty One shall thereby be made known. And his ways, which, though past finding out, are right. So in other words, you can't understand the shit that he's going to do, but he's right for doing it. That's not a God I want to worship. For if you endure and persevere in his fear, and do not forget his law, the times shall change over you for good. And you shall see the consolation of Zion. Because whatever is now is nothing, but that which shall be is very great. And for everything that is corruptible shall pass away, and everything that dies shall depart. And all the present time shall be forgotten. Nor shall there be any remembrance of the present time, which is defiled with evils. For that which runs now runs into vanity. And that which prospers shall quickly fall and be humiliated. For that which is to be shall be the object of desire. And for that which comes afterwards shall we hope. For it is a time that passes not away, and the hour comes which abides forever. And the new world comes which does not turn to corruption those who depart its blessedness. And has no mercy on those who depart to torment, and leads not to perdition those who live in it. Now, I'm going to stop here for just a second. Going to deviate to Eric Hoffer's book. From Hoffer's book, The True Believer. Such diverse phenomena as a depreciation of the present, a facility for make-believe, a proneness to hate, a readiness to imitate, credulity, a readiness to attempt the impossible, and many others which crowd the minds of the intensely frustrated are, as we shall see, unifying agents and prompters of recklessness. More from Hoffer. Not only does a mass movement depict the present as mean and miserable, it deliberately makes it so. It fashions a pattern of individual existence that is dour, hard, repressive, and dull. It decries pleasures and comforts and extols the rigorous life. There can be no genuine depreciation of the present without the assured hope of a better future. For however much we lament the baseness of our times, if the prospect offered by the future is that of advanced deterioration, or even an unchanged continuation of the present, we are inevitably moved to reconcile ourselves with our existence, difficult and mean though it may be. All mass movements depreciate the present by depicting it as a mean preliminary to a glorious future, a mere doormat on the threshold of the millennium. A mass movement has to center the hearts and minds of its followers on the future, even when it is not engaged in a life and death struggle with established institutions and privileges. The self-sacrifice involved in mutual sharing and cooperative action is almost impossible without hope. One final bit. A glorification of the past can serve as a means to belittle the present, but unless joined with sanguine expectations of the future, an exaggerated view of the past results in an attitude of caution and not in the reckless strivings of a mass movement. On the other hand, there is no more potent dwarfing of the present than by viewing it as a mere link between a glorious past and a glorious future. Social revolutions tell of a golden age when men were free, equal, and independent. Possessed of a vivid vision of the past and future, the true believer sees himself part of something that stretches endlessly backward and forward, something eternal. Clearly, whomever wrote this was trying to accomplish something along those lines, I think. As soon as I read that, it all just popped into my head. I knew Hoffer had written about that, and I wanted to get it out there. Okay, now, where were we? For these are they who shall inherit that time which has been spoken of, and theirs is the inheritance of the promised time. These are they who have acquired for themselves treasures of wisdom, and with them are found stores of understanding, and from mercy have they not withdrawn, and the truth of the law have they preserved. For to them shall be given the world to come, but the dwelling of the rest, who are many, shall be in the fire. Do you, therefore, so far as you are able, instruct the people, for that labor is ours. For if you teach them, you will quicken them. I'm guessing their use of the word quicken is a reference to midwife term, which describes the moment when the mother can feel the fetus moving around inside her. And my son and the elders of the people answered and said unto me, Has the Mighty One humiliated us to such a degree as to take you from us quickly? And truly, we shall be in darkness, and there shall be no light to the people who are left. For where again shall we seek the law? Or who will distinguish for us between life and death? And I said unto them, The throne of the Mighty One I cannot resist. Nevertheless, there shall not be wanting to Israel a wise man, nor a son of the law to the race of Jacob. But only prepare you your hearts that you may obey the law, and be subject to those who in fear are wise and not understanding. And prepare your souls that you may not depart from them. For if you do these things, good tidings shall come unto you. Which I before told you of, nor shall you fall into the torment of which I testified to you before. But with regard to the word that I was to be taken, I did not make it known to them or to my son. So, it's a dead guy writing this. Apparently. And when I had gone forth and dismissed them, I went there and said unto them, Okay, how can you dismiss people and then talk to them? Did he all right, I'm done, get out of here. Oh, wait, I forgot something, come back. Behold, I go to Hebron, for thither the Mighty One hath sent me. And I came to that place where the word had been spoken unto me, and I sat there and fasted 7 days. And it came to pass after the 7th day that I prayed before the Mighty One and said, O my lord, you summon the advent of the times, and they stand before you. You cause the power of the ages to pass away, and they do not resist you. You arrange the method of the seasons, and they obey you. You alone know the duration of the generations, and you reveal not your mysteries to many. You make known the multitude of the fire, and you weigh the lightness of the wind. Wind is not light. If it was, you couldn't use a sail. You explore the limit of the heights, and you scrutinize the depths of the darkness. You care for the number which pass away, that they may be preserved, and you prepare an abode for those that are to be. And that noise you hear is fuzznuts and buttons fighting with one another, fighting. You remember the beginning which you have made, and the destruction that is to be, you forget not. So he's basically saying, God, your destruction. Shiva, creator and destroyer. With nods of fear and indignation you command the flames, and they change into spirits. And with a word you quicken that which was not, and with mighty power you hold that which has not yet come. You instruct created things in the understanding of you, and you make wise the spheres so as to minister in their orders. Armies innumerable stand before you, and minister in their orders quietly at your nod. Hear your servant, and give ear to my petition, for in a little time we are born, and in a little time do we return. But with you, hours are as a time, and days as generations. So is he saying that God's got the attention span of a gnat? Or is he saying that a generation to us is but a day to God? I don't know. Be not therefore wroth with man, for he is nothing. Okay, so basically, dude just said, God, we're worthless pieces of shit, so don't even waste your time fucking with us. And take not account of our works. For what are we? Well, you just said we're nothing. And just ignore all our works. So, yeah, we offer up a sacrifice to you, God. Ignore it. For lo, by your gift do we come into the world, and we depart not of our own will. Well, unless you commit suicide. For we said not to our parents, beget us, nor did we send to Sheol and say, receive us. What therefore is our strength that we should bear your wrath? Or what are we that we should endure your judgment? So, basically, he's saying, we're worthless, we're terrible, we can't do anything, stop beating us, stop hitting us, God. And God's sitting there taking our hand, smacking us in the face, going, stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself. Protect us in your compassions, and in your mercy help us. Behold the little ones that are subject unto you, and save all that draw near unto you. Well, but if he ignores us and doesn't take account of our works, then he shouldn't bother paying any attention to the people who draw near to him. And destroy not the hope of our people, and cut not short the times of our aid. For this is the nation which you have chosen, and these are the people to whom you find no equal. But I will speak now before you, and I will say as my heart thinks. In you we do trust, for lo, your law is with us. And we know that we shall not fall so long as we keep your statutes. Yeah, but he kind of just wiped out your whole city and country there, dude. So you did fall. To all time are we blessed at all events in this, that we have not mingled with the Gentiles. That's racist. For we are all one celebrated people who have received one law from one, and the law which is amongst us will aid us, and the surpassing wisdom which is in us will help us. And when I had prayed and said these things, I was greatly weakened. You don't think the fact that you hadn't eaten in a week might have anything to do with that? And he answered and said unto me, You have prayed simply, O Baruch, and all your words have been heard. But my judgment exacts its own, and my law exacts its right. left hand, hate. My right hand is love. Or however it is. And with these I shall deliver my judgment upon you. For from your words I will answer you, and from your prayer I will speak to you. For this is as follows. He that is corrupted is not at all. So, he looks corrupted. You think he's corrupted, but he's not really. He has both wrought iniquity so far as lie could do anything, and has not remembered my goodness. What's good about you destroying the entire country of Israel or Judah, nor accepted my long suffering. How did God suffer? Therefore you shall be surely taken up, as I before told you. For that time shall arise which brings affliction. This is the fucking Bronze Age. Ain't nothing but affliction in that time, baby. For it shall come and pass by with quick vehemence, and it shall be turbulent coming in the heat of indignation. And it shall come to pass, drink, in those days that all the inhabitants of the earth shall be moved one against another, because they know not that my judgment has drawn nigh. Huh? For there shall not be found many wise at that time, and the intelligent shall be but a few. So, a lot of stupid people around. I'm starting to get a little worried. Moreover, even those who know shall most of all be silent. And there shall be many rumors and tidings, not a few, and the doing of phantasms shall be manifest, and promises not a few be recounted. Some of them shall prove idle, and some of them shall be confirmed. And this is fucking meaningless. This is like Trump speaking, only more articulate. And honor shall be turned into shame, and strength humiliated into contempt, and probity destroyed. And beauty shall become ugliness, and many shall say to many at that time, where hath the multitude of intelligence hidden itself? And whither hath the multitude of wisdom removed itself? And whilst they are meditating these things, then envy shall arise in those who had not thought aught of themselves. So, people who don't think of themselves shall be envious, and passion shall seize him that is peaceful, and many shall be stirred up in anger to injure many. Fucking that's every day in Chirac. And they shall rouse up armies in order to shed blood. Well, that's generally what an army's used for. And in the end, they shall perish together with them. So a Pyrrhic victory. And it shall come to pass, drink, at the self-same time, that a change of time shall manifestly appear to every man, because in all those times they polluted themselves and they practiced oppression. Jesus, fuck, man, really? Vagueness, and then, oh yeah, if you're an oppressor, you're bad. We'll ignore God being an obvious oppressor. Just the fact that they, the Jews at this time wanted to kill gays, that's oppressive. But they don't see it that way. And walked every man in his own works, and remembered not the law of the Mighty One. Even God can't say his own name, apparently. Therefore a fire shall consume their thoughts, and in flame shall the meditations of their reins be tried. For the judge shall come, and will not tarry, because each of the inhabitants of the earth knew when he was transgressing. Right. So some guy living in, say, I don't know, Australia, who was eating pork or some other non-kosher food, knew that he was transgressing, even though he had never heard of God or Judaism because they hadn't made it there yet. This is so insane. But my law they knew not by reason of their pride. Or maybe they were in a part of the world your people didn't know exist and hadn't contacted yet. Ever think of that one, God? No, of course not. But many shall then assuredly weep, yea, over the living more than the dead. And I answered and said, O Adam, what have you done to all those who are born from you? And what will be said to the first Eve who hearkened the serpent? And what will be said to the first Eve who hearkened to the serpent? So who is the second Eve? Obviously, there's been more than one. For all this multitude are going to corruption, nor is there any numbering of those whom the fire devours. So it kind of sounds like everybody's fucking boned and you just need to accept it. But again, I will speak in your presence. You, O Lord, my Lord, know what is in your creature. For you did of old command the dust to produce Adam, and you know the number of those who are born from him, and how far they have sinned before you, who have existed and not confessed you as their creator. And as regards all these, their end shall convict them, and your law, which they have transgressed, shall requite them on your day. Definitely an apocalyptic sounding work right now. Question is, though, how do they explain people who've never heard of God? If you grabbed one of these guys and said, hey, look, there's a whole country thousands of miles away from here you've never heard of, they've never heard of you, they've never heard of God. Are they going to die and go to hell? Or Sheol? I'm sure this guy would be holding with God. They just choose not to follow him. But now let us dismiss the wicked and inquire about the righteous. And I will count, and I will recount their blessedness, and not be silent in celebrating their glory, which is reserved for them. For assuredly, as in a little time in this transitory world in which you live, you have endured much labor. So in that world to which there is no end, you shall receive great light. Yeah, try to get to sleep with that. Nevertheless, I will again ask from you, O Mighty One. Yea, I will ask made all things. In what shape will those live who live in your day? Or how will the splendor of those who are after that time continue? Will they then resume this form of the present, and put on these entrammeling members, which are now involved in evils, and in which evils are consummated? Or will you perchance change things which have been in the world, as also the world? So is God going to rewrite history? And he answered and said to me, Hear, Baruch, this word, and write in the remembrance of your heart all that you shall learn. For the earth shall then assuredly restore the dead, which it now receives in order to preserve them. So you bury people and they don't rot. That's not how it works. It shall make no change in their form, but as it has received, so shall it restore them. And as I delivered them unto it, so also shall it raise them. So we gonna have zombies. We gonna have lots of zombies wandering around. For then it will be necessary to show the living that the dead have come to life again, and that those who had departed have returned again. And it shall come to pass, drink, when they have severally recognized those whom they now know, then judgment shall go strong, and those things which before were spoken of shall come. And it shall come to pass, drink, when that appointed day has gone by, that then shall the aspect of those who are condemned be afterwards changed, and the glory of those who are justified. For the aspect of those who now act wickedly shall become worse than it is, as they shall suffer torment. Also, as for the glory of those who have now been justified in my law, who have had understanding in their life, and who have planted in their heart the root of wisdom, then their splendor shall be glorified in changes, and the form of their face shall be turned into the light of their beauty, that they may be able to acquire and receive the world which does not die, which is then promised to them. For over this above all shall those who come then lament, that they rejected my law, and stopped their ears that they might not hear wisdom or receive understanding. When therefore they see those over whom they are now exalted, but who shall then be exalted and glorified more than they shall respectively be transformed, the latter into the splendor of angels, and the former shall yet more waste away in wonder at the visions and in the beholding of forms. For they shall first behold and afterwards depart to be tormented. Jesus, that's a whole lot of nonsense. So shit's going to happen. It's going to happen to people. And I'm not going to give you any specifics on who they are or exactly what's going to happen to them. But trust me on this. But those who have been saved by their works, and to whom the law has been now a hope, and understanding an expectation, and wisdom a confidence, shall wonders appear in their time. For they shall behold the world which is now invisible to them. And they shall behold the time which is now hidden from them. And time shall no longer age them. For in the heights of that world shall they dwell, and they shall be made like unto the angels, and be made equal to the stars, and they shall be changed into every form they desire, from beauty into loveliness, and from the light into the splendor of glory. For they shall behold the world which is now invisible to them, and they shall behold the time which is now hidden from them, and time shall no longer age them. For in the heights of that world shall they dwell, and they shall be made like unto the angels, and be made equal to the stars, and they shall be changed into every form they desire, from beauty into loveliness, and from light into the splendor of glory. For there shall be spread before them the extents of paradise, and there shall be shown to them the beauty of the majesty of the living creatures which are beneath the throne, and all the armies of the angels, who are now held fast by my word, lest they should appear. Oh, well, gee, if they showed up, they could erase all doubt, but that's not God's way. And are held fast by a command, that they may not stand in their places till the advent comes. Moreover, there shall then be excellency in the righteous, surpassing that in the angels. For the first shall receive the last, those whom they were expecting, and the last of those whom they used to hear that they had passed away. I have no idea what that fucking means. For they have been delivered from this world of tribulation, and laid down the burden of anguish. For what then have men lost their life? And for what have those who were on the earth exchanged their soul? For when they chose not for themselves this time, which beyond the reach of anguish could not pass away, but they chose for themselves that time whose issues are full of lamentation and evils, and they denied the world which ages not those who come to it, and they rejected the time of glory, so that they shall not come to the honor of which I told you before. And I answered and said, how can we forget those for whom woe is then reserved? And why, therefore, do we again mourn for those who die? Or why do we weep for those who depart to Sheol? Let lamentations be reserved for the beginning of that coming torment, and let tears be laid up for the advent of the destruction of that time. But even in the face of these things will I speak. And as for the righteous, what will they do now? Rejoice you in the suffering which you now suffer. For why do you look for the decline of your enemies? Make ready your soul for that which is reserved for you, and prepare your souls for the reward which is laid up for you. And when I had said these things, I fell asleep there, and I saw a vision. You don't think maybe you passed out from hunger, do you? And lo, a cloud was ascending from a very great sea, and I kept gazing upon it, and lo, it was full of waters white and black, and there were many colors in those selfsame waters. And as it were, the likeness of great lightning was seen at its summit. And I saw the cloud passing swiftly in quick courses, and it covered all the earth. And it came to pass, drink, after these things, that the... You start that sentence again, and you'll see what threw me off. And it came to pass, drink, after these things, that cloud began to pour upon the earth the waters that were in it. Well, that's called rain. And as I saw that there was not one and the same likeness in the waters which descended from it. Well, yeah, that's kind of how rain works. Each water drop is slightly different. Same is true with snowflakes. For in the first beginning they were black and many. Chocolate rain. Or a time, and afterwards I saw that the waters became bright, but they were not many. And after these things, again I saw black waters, and after these things, again bright, and again black, and again bright. Jesus fucking Christ, you idiot. That's how a really heavy thunderstorm works. Now, this was done 12 times, but the black were always more numerous than the bright. And it came to pass, drink, at the end of the cloud, that lo, it rained black waters, and they were darker than had been all those waters that were before, and fire was mingled with them. And where those waters descended, they wrought devastation and destruction. Acid rain, baby. And after these things I saw how that lightning, which I had seen on the summit of the cloud, seized hold of it and hurled it to the earth. So it took the cloud, grabbed it, threw it down, made it fog. Now that lightning shone exceedingly so as to illuminate the whole earth, and it healed those regions where the last waters had descended and wrought devastation. And it took hold of the whole earth and had dominion over it. And I saw after these things, and lo, 12 rivers were ascending from the sea, and they began to surround that lightning and become subject to it. And by reason of my fear, I awoke. Oh boy. Dude had some bad acid, I guess. And I besought the Mighty One and said, You alone, O Lord, know of aforetime the deep things of the world, and all the things which befall in their times. You bring about by your word, and against the works of the inhabitants of the earth you do hasten the beginnings of the times, and the end of the seasons you alone know. Actually, no, we have meteorologists who can tell you when the season's going to end. You, for whom nothing is too hard, but who do everything easily by a nod, you to whom the depths come as the heights, and whose word the beginnings of the ages serve, you who reveal to those who fear you what is prepared for them, that thenceforth they may be comforted. You show great acts to those who know not. You break up the enclosure of those who are ignorant. No, he most certainly fucking does not. I ignored some of the other bullshit that this is spouted, but religion thrives on the ignorant. And lightest up what is dark, and reveal what is hidden to the pure, who in faith have submitted themselves to you and your law. You have shown to your servant this vision. Reveal to me also its interpretation. For I know that as regards those things wherein I besought you, I have received a response, and as regards what I besought, you did reveal to me with what voice I should praise you, and from what members I should cause praises and ascend to you. So, he taught his dick to speak? For if my members were mouths, and he's got more than one, and the hairs of my head voices, even so I could not give you the reward of praise, nor laud you as is befitting, nor could I recount your praise, nor tell the glory of your beauty. For what am I amongst men? Or why am I reckoned amongst those who are more excellent than I? That I have heard all these marvelous things from the Most High, and numberless promises from Him who created me. Blessed be my mother among those that bear, and praised among women be she that bare me. For I will not be silent in praising the Mighty One, and with the voice of praise I will recount his marvelous deeds. For who doeth like unto your marvelous deeds, O God, or who comprehend your deep thought of life? For with your counsel you do govern all the creatures which your right hand has created, and you have established every fountain of light beside you. And the treasure of wisdom beneath your throne have you prepared. And justly do they perish who have not loved your law. And the torment of judgment shall await those who have not submitted themselves to your power. For though Adam first sinned, and brought untimely death upon all, that seems fair, yet of those who were born from him, each one of them has prepared for his own soul torment to come. So we're all a bunch of masochists. And again, each one of them has chosen for himself glories to come. For assuredly he who believeth will receive reward. But now as for you, you wicked that now are, turn you to destruction, because you shall speedily be visited, in that formerly you rejected the understanding of the Most High. What? He just told God to go fuck himself? Or is he talking to the reader and not God? I have no idea. For his works have not taught you, nor has the skill of his creation which is at all times persuaded you. Adam is therefore not the cause, save only of his own soul. No, God caused it. But each of us has been the Adam of his own soul. But do you, O Lord, expound to me regarding those things which you have revealed to me, and inform me regarding that which I besought you. For at that consummation of the world, vengeance shall be taken upon those who have done wickedness according to their wickedness. And you will glorify the faithful according to their faithfulness. For those who are amongst your own you rule, and those who sin you blot out from amongst your own. And it came to pass, when I had finished speaking the words of this prayer, that I sat there under a tree, that I might rest in the shade of the branches. And I wondered and was astonished and pondered in my thoughts regarding the multitude of goodness which sinners who are upon the earth have rejected, and regarding the great torment which they have despised, though they knew that they should be tormented because of the sin they had committed. And when I was pondering on these things and the like, lo, the angel Ramiel. Who is the angel Ramiel? I've never heard of that angel before. I want to look this up. Who is Ramiel? Ramiel is both a fallen watcher and an angel in the apocryphal book of Enoch. Ramiel means thunder of God, from the Hebrew elements Ra'am and El, God. As a fallen watcher, there are 20 leaders in the book of Enoch, also called First Enoch. The section that mentions them reads, and these are the names of their leaders: Semaías, their leader, Akiba, Ramiel, Kokabiel, Tamiel, Ramiel. So there's two Ramiels, while the one is spelled slightly different. Daniel, Ezekiel, Barikiel, Asiel, Amaros, Baratel, Anil, Zakiel, Samaspiel, Satiriel, Torel, Jomajiel, Serial. These are their chiefs of tens. As described in First Enoch, these are the leaders of 200 angels that are turned into fallen angels due to their taking wives, mating with human women, and teaching forbidden knowledge. One of the 20 leaders, Ramiel, is mentioned sixth. In the same work, Ramiel is also the name of an angel and is described as one of the holy angels whom God has set over those who rise from the dead. In effect, the angel that watches over those that are to resurrect. He is mentioned also in 2 Baruch, where he presides over true visions. Ramiel is the angel of hope, and he is credited with 2 tasks. He is responsible for divine visions, and he guides the souls of the faithful into heaven. He is called Jeremiel or Uriel in various translations of 4 Esdras. He is said to have been the archangel responsible for the destructions of the armies of the Sennacherib, as well as being the bearer of the instructions of the 7 archangels. Oh. Okay. Now, I am awfully curious as to what the Book of the Watchers are. Well, this is interesting. So, in Googling around, find out that the Book of Watchers is a section of the Book of Enoch. That is not listed in the comprehensive version of the Apocrypha I've been using, which I have discovered is not comprehensive because 2nd Enoch is not in there. But what I don't understand is why, or 2nd Baruch is not in there, excuse me. But what I don't understand is why Enoch isn't in there, because in what I've been able to find by Googling, Enoch is an accepted work by the Ethiopian Church. And there's at least one Jewish group that accepts it. So why is it not? I don't know. And it's even referenced in the Epistle of Jude, according to Wikipedia. Jude chapter 1, verses 14 to 15. So I'm going to have to find that. And when we get done with Baruch, I will probably put that in there because obviously I should have been reading from it at some point. And since I just now discovered it, I will have to add it to the list. This just keeps getting longer and longer. Okay, now back to where we were. And when I was pondering on these things and the like, lo, the angel Ramiel, who presides over the true visions, was sent to me, and he said unto me, Why does your heart trouble you, Baruch? And why does your thought disturb you? For if owing to the report which you have only heard of judgment, you are so moved, what wilt you be when you shall see it manifestly with your eyes? And if with the expectation wherewith you do expect the day of the mighty one, you are so overcome, what will you be when you shall come to its advent? And if at the word of the announcement of the torment of those things who have done foolishly, you are so wholly distraught, how much more when the event will reveal marvelous things? And if you have heard tidings of the good and evil things which are then coming and are grieved, what will you be when you shall behold what the majesty will reveal, which shall convict these and cause those to rejoice? Okay, I am going to stop there because it's getting kind of late. I got to edit this. We're just under the hour mark. And I've got to make sure I've got everything prepped and ready to go for the eclipse tomorrow. It's going to be my only shot at it, so I want to try and get it right.
That's it for this episode of The Atheist in the Trailer Park Podcast. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, as well as just about anywhere else podcasts can be found. Many of the episodes are also on YouTube. Follow the show on Twitter. @TParkAtheist is the show's Twitter handle. It's on Facebook at facebook.com/trailerparkatheist.com. If you happen to like the podcast, please rate it on iTunes. If you'd like to support the podcast, there's a donate button on the show notes page. You can support it via Patreon at patreon.com/TNTucker. Thanks for listening.
Say goodnight, Fosnots.
All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
Damned cat.